Hello and welcome to Fanversation. I'm so excited to be sitting with Andrew Leeds. Hello, Andrew.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. I'm so stoked to talk to you. I am a big fan of yours from lots of different things. I specifically loved Christella, and I'm so bummed that got canceled. And One Day at a Time. You've been in a lot of stuff that I love that is not on the air, and that makes me very sad. And
Uh,
Zoe's.
yeah, yeah, that was a lot of fun things.
Yeah, but right now you're on The Dropout, which is currently airing on Hulu. Oh my God, I
Yeah,
have a button. I want to talk about The Dropout. Um, let's start with your character of Roland, because the show is based on things that happen. It's based
yeah,
on real things. And you went to Stanford, so
yeah, yeah.
you've been to that area.
I have been to that area, and it was very, when I first heard that they were doing it. I don't know. I mean, partially because I recognized so many of the things, just from, it felt sort of close to home to me, even though I wasn't there at the same time as her, but yeah, I felt, I mean, when I was going to school there, it was around the time of like, Google had already started a lot of things, but it was around that time where all these things were popping up. And so I felt like very much, connected to it in a certain way. But yeah, I think it's a fascinating story. And I definitely, I just think you think like, oh, well, I definitely went to school with people like her.
I gotta ask. So I grew up in Palo Alto, and the Fuki sushi scene made me laugh so hard because for people who don't know, Fuki sushi is a place, and that is how you sit at Fuki sushi. And I have to know, have you ever been to Fuki sushi in Palo Alto?
I know I knew what it was. I don't know that I ever went there because I don't think at the time I was eating sushi yet. I think I
Okay,
didn't like, know that like sushi was something that people should eat. Yeah.
that's fair.
I think yeah. It's so weird how like you grow up and it's like some people like is it sushi seems like the fanciest thing ever. If you had sushi, that was like you were rich.
Yeah,
Even though I'm
um,
pretty sure a steak is way more than a lot of sushi, but
that is true. But like sushi feels
it
richer.
was extravagant. Yeah, yeah.
But I want to ask about your character of Roland. This is Roland based on or inspired by a real person?
Kind of. Well, and it's not based on any real person in the story of Elizabeth Holmes. I mean, I'm sure that Wade and had an assistant, or he's not really an assistant. He's kind of a an executive who's a little bit low. He's lower than Wade, but he's not. I think I don't think he's like a straight up assistant, but he sort of is based on this random person that I met once in Palo Alto. I was doing a play and I had to get hotel rooms donated because it was like before school was starting. We needed places to stay. And so I met this guy who was a manager at, I think like a Holiday Inn Express maybe. And I don't know why just the way he looked and, kind of stuck with me. And so that's sort of where that character came from. And just my imagination of what he would be like in that situation. I don't know. It just was a weird combination of things. But it was definitely like, oh, I always thought about that guy 20 something years later, and I was like, oh, well, it'd be fun to try to play him. He had a couple of interesting characteristics that I couldn't have. Like he had like a weird sort of scar on his chin that I would have liked, but I wasn't to subject anyone to making them put a scar on my face. But what I really wanted to do was I didn't want to have an earring, but I wanted to have a hole where an earring was. That when he gets home, he puts on the earring. But
But he
again,
doesn't wear it to work?
no, it would be inappropriate. I think he felt a little musical note earring. Uh, but yeah, but I wasn't gonna get my ear pierced to do that.
It's fine. A different role. You're gonna do it for a different role. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of music,
Mhm.
you got to bring music into the dropout in the episode Old White Men. We get to you get to sing What I Like About Blood.
Yeah.
Um, I want to know what this scene felt like from your perspective?
Um, it was still fun. Amanda Seyfried is the most fun, and like just singing to her was just kind of, she was sort of like giving it back to me, and so it just made me laugh. It was fun. It was a little weird because Roland kind of has he's a little bit of a Southern accent, and so singing with a Southern accent is a little strange. It's not really, not that he shouldn't necessarily be a great singer, but I went from Zoey's where people like are singing and it's important how you sing to this where it's supposed to be sort of bad. So that was a little bit weird. And also it's weird because you're in a group of, you're in a room with, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 background people and everybody's watching you and they can't hear the music because it's in an earpiece. So you're just kind of naked out there singing like an idiot. And not even know, it just said, he sings a song, you don't know what they're really looking for. So, I tried to prepare, a Lindsay Kraft, who's my girlfriend, went through, I was like, what if I do it like this? What if I do it like this? What if I do it like this? So that's sort of how I landed on how I was eventually going to do it. But, it was definitely, nerve wracking, I'd say. Anytime you have to sing on set in front of a bunch of people, especially when they can't hear the music, it can be uncomfortable,
Oh, that's so interesting because you come from a performance, a singing background. And of course, everyone knows you can sing because of Zoe's, but also like, you did like Broadway, you like did big things. So, that's so interesting because I'm not a singer and I get nervous when I'm
Yeah,
singing in front of
I think
people.
a lot of people get nervous singing. It's very vulnerable. I mean, you can always hear, you can't hide it. If you are feeling nervous, you hear it in your voice, so that sort of makes you more nervous in a way. It's not that makes you nervous. It's like at this point, it's like, well, whatever happens, happens. Like, if I crack, if I do this, whatever, what are you gonna do? But it still feels like usually in a scene you're communicating with somebody else, and it's not just you. This is just like go sing and dance, Andrew. You know what I mean? It's a little bit. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but doing that was not uncomfortable because it was just so stupid.
It's one of my favorite parts because it's so like we're telling the story. We're telling the story about this woman and a lot of what she did. It's kind of heartbreaking when you think about what happened and
Yeah.
what she went through. And I guess I'm really struggling with, is she the villain? Is she malicious? Was she evil? And then you have this scene and it's just so out of place and so
So
great.
it's so crazy. That episode was such a funny episode. They did such a good job of balancing the comedy and the drama and just making it feel really real and yet still funny. Those guys were so great, Alan Ruck and Josh Pais and Rich Sommer, and like we had such a good time together.
Yeah,
I think we
that
did. I had a good time with them.
that show really does balance the humor so beautifully, and
Yeah,
it's surprisingly funny.
the people. It is. I just think it is so well cast. Like Jeannie Backrack, the casting director, and Michael Showalter and all the producers and Amanda. Like they just picked the best, great actors, right for the roles in just the right ways. Brought their own thing to. I just was like, I love watching it just to see, who's going to pop up and what they're doing in it.
Yeah.
It's so well done, the whole show. I'm so proud to be a part of it.
Can I ask you what your thoughts are on Elizabeth Holmes? The person, the story,
Well, what's interesting is my thoughts now are different after seeing Amanda Seyfried play, because I think what's interesting about Amanda is that even though she is doing sort of a version of Elizabeth Holmes that is like crazily eerily accurate in a lot of ways, I think there's something about him. The thing that was always hard in the documentary that I watched, The Inventor, about Elizabeth Holmes, when you're watching it, you're like, well, everybody's like, she was so charming and, pretty, and everybody thought like, ever so all these people bought into it. But it's a little hard to see because Elizabeth Holmes kind of looks a little crazy. Like, she's always like, like looks a little insane. So you're like a little bit like, wow, all these people bought into it. And so it's a little bit more like, oh, you're just a sociopath and you're crazy. But Amanda really brings a humanity to it. And
Yes.
you almost think to your first, I mean, a lot of that is the writing too. Liz Merriweather and all those writers, it's just honestly, a brilliant job of really making me understand what she was going through. So she actually doesn't seem like quite a villain. I think she is sort of seemingly sociopathic in the sense that I don't think that she has a lot of empathy. Maybe she doesn't really feel things in certain ways. But you understand why she was doing what she was doing in the show, and Amanda makes it so appealing, and so funny and charming that you're like, I get it. I get why everybody just wanted to get on board. And really, but what you realize is that it's such a beautiful idea to think that you could take a drop of blood and make sure everybody's healthy all the time in the privacy of their home. Like, of course, people wanted to believe that. I was talking to somebody on set who was one of the writers who said the medical advisors told them that technology is really like 50 years from ever being a reality. So like they weren't even close. And I guess that's where it's bad, because she probably did know that to some degree. And so at some point it was going to not work. And she, but she was also, I guess she wasn't a kid by the end, but she started out as a kid, and she should have never had that much, probably she didn't know what she was doing. But so I do, I feel bad for her more in a way because of that, but I feel bad for Amanda Seyfried as Elizabeth Holmes. I don't feel bad as much for the real Elizabeth Holmes. I think she's probably okay. I actually went to college actually with a guy whose brother was this writer named Stephen Glass. Do you know who that is?
I don't.
There's a movie called Shattered Glass. I highly recommend it. It's about Stephen Glass, and Stephen Glass was a law student, and he was also a writer, and he wrote articles for, I think, like The Atlantic and a bunch of other very prestigious magazines, publications. And they found out that a large number of his stories were fabricated. And the movie is with Hayden Christensen and Peter Sarsgaard, and it's directed by Billy Ray, I think, and written by Billy Ray. When I was at college with his brother, I remember calling his brother to talk to him, his brother's cell phone, and it didn't say the normal outgoing message that this is Mike. It said, "You've reached the office of Juked My Chronics." And I was like, "That's weird. What is that?" And he was like, "Oh, it's just something I'm doing for my brother." Well, it turned out that was when things were unfolding, and his brother said, "Hey, I supposedly interviewed this person at this website called Juked My Chronics, and it's actually in the movie." Like that moment, like you hear the outgoing message that the brother left and everything.
Wow.
I remember going to Denny's with his brother, with Mike, and he was saying to me, "I'm really going through a tough time." I said, "Why?" I said, "Well, they found out my brother had fabricated all these articles, and now he's not going to be able to be a lawyer anymore because he's, you can't pass the bar, I guess, or, once they found out that I don't really understand the intricacies of it." And I remember being like, I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll be fine. What do you mean they're not going to let him be a lawyer? Of course he could be a lawyer. Well, it turned out that was not the case, and he was not fine. And he, he wasn't able to actually legally practice law. He works at a law firm now where there was an amazing article that he wrote about falling in love with somebody. This is a long story, but you should read it. It's a really great article about he fell in love with a woman who had early onset dementia. And so he had sworn off lying. He was like, "I'm never going to lie again." He knew he couldn't lie again, but she didn't want anyone to know. And so he had to start lying again because of that. And it's
Wow.
really heartbreaking. But he's a lawyer. He works at a law firm where he's as good as a lawyer, but he can't actually practice. But I remember thinking at the time, "Oh, no big deal." But the truth is that it is a big deal, and that these people, it's really sad in a way, because she probably is really smart. She probably her heart was probably in the right place, which is that she wanted to do something good. She probably also wanted to be famous and wealthy and all those things as well. And now what do you do?
Right.
What do you do? You kind of have to start your own thing that's so great that it's undeniable and so good for the world, but hard to get a job, hard to know, when your husband says, "Oh, me and my wife, Elizabeth Holmes." How does that feel? You know what I mean? I can't imagine. So I have a bit of empathy for her, but or compassion, I should say. But I don't think there's any doubt that what she did was pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a sense of how bad it was, though, because I know she ran tests, and like someone, as an example, one of the claims is somebody was told that they were HIV positive and they actually weren't. Things like that, obviously. That being said, I don't know how much of that happened, first of all. I mean, the lying is obviously terrible. Like, I just don't it's hard to get a sense of the extent to which she actually harmed people's lives. That I'm not sure. Maybe we'll find out more as the miniseries as the series goes on. So I'm
Sure.
reserving judgment a little bit. Again, no question what she did was bad, but in the scheme of things, like did she knowingly really harm people? And that, I guess, I'm waiting to find out, because they also don't make it totally clear. You know, sort of it was Sunny a little bit. It's hard to know. I guess that's why she's on trial and Sunny's on trial. And anyway, it's fascinating. I don't know.
It is fascinating. So you haven't seen the whole series. You don't know how.
No, mm-mm.
Oh,
I honestly, it's one of the only things I watch as soon as it comes on, and I'm like, wait for it to come on Wednesday. So I get so excited.
oh, that's so exciting. I couldn't stop myself and binge the whole thing, so I know how it ends.
You got to see the whole thing already?
Mhm,
Oh, because you get to see the whole thing.
mhm.
Oh, wow. I'm jealous. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just have Hulu. I don't get to see the whole thing. Um, so
Living a
wait,
good life.
so okay, so is it satisfying at the end? I mean, does the whole thing feel very satisfying once you get to the end?
Um, as satisfying as it can be in that the real story is still unfolding.
Right, right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I can't wait to see the rest of it. I'm doing another show right now for Hulu that's gonna be, I think, equally as good. I'm so excited about, called The Patient, that is with Steve Carell, and it's unbelievable. It's like, it is the writing is unbelievable. The directing's amazing. He's unbelievable. Donald Gleason's, and all these really interesting. Same casting director as The Dropout, Jeannie Backrack, and she cast it so well with people I've never even seen before, and they're just awesome actors. It's really interesting. That's what I have this beard for.
Yeah, I feel like you usually don't have a beard on TV.
No, I didn't even know I could grow a beard like this. Actually,
It's impressive. It is an impressive beard.
I'm waiting for that. Thank you.
You mentioned the writers a little bit. I want to talk about writing because you are a writer as well.
Yeah.
How do you prefer writing or acting? If you could choose to only do one, or do you want to
I was
continue to
thinking
do both?
about that today as I was walking inside my place, and I was thinking, because I'm about to direct, my sister wrote a pilot that we're sort of doing independently. Uh, the there's Anyway, so we're about to start doing this thing, and I was just thinking to myself, it really is much easier being an actor. Like, it is, it's much easier showing up when everything's done, done for you, and everybody's there to make sure that you're taken care of. Like, you know, it is easier. That's not to say that it's not tiring. And, some people have, days where they're actors that are on their feet for 14 hours, and it can be exhausting. But the stress of, like, producing and writing it's a different thing, because any number of things can go wrong, and it's totally on you to fix it. The actors don't do that. The actors are like, "Oh, something went wrong. We have to go home. Okay, let's no one come back." You know. So, but I enjoy acting and sort of writing through acting to some degree. Like, meaning, like, I enjoy, like, being on a set where I'm playing a character, and there's flexibility for, creativity, and sort of, helping to tell the story and coming up with ideas that may or may not, hopefully help. But I do really like writing, and I like I like the satisfaction of making something that feels great and complete and done. But it is definitely, and there are times I enjoy the moments of, like, inspiration during writing, but a lot of it is also really hard. So
Yeah.
it's just, do you write as well?
I do, not as much as my S review co-host Taylor, who is an incredible writer.
Okay.
She is just one of the best. But I write a little. I also produce, and I know how easy it is to get to show up and be talent, and it's a lot nicer
Yeah.
than having to figure out when things go wrong, how to fix it.
Yeah, totally. Um, yeah. See all your comic books back there.
Yes, there's a lot of comic books back here. I want to talk a little bit about Zoe's. First of all, heartbreaking that Zoe's.
It's bright, so bright. Now I think that the light's changing outside, so it's like, oh, there, much more balanced. Okay, anyway, yeah.
Heartbreaking that Zoe's ended, but we got our Christmas special. I want to. Are you? Do you celebrate Christmas?
In real life,
Yes.
no.
Okay, great. So, how do you feel about Christmas specials?
I mean, I don't really pay too much attention to them. I mean, I don't mind them. I thought Zoe's was lovely. I mean, you know, you mean should it have been a Hanukkah special?
I mean, I know the family's not Jewish, so
Not sure. Although interestingly, the writer is his family is Jewish and it was based on his life. This could have been Jewish. Jane's Jewish, but
right. Yeah,
but I guess most of the world is not. Is the truth, and people love Christmas.
I know.
That's the thing. People just love Christmas. But Max was Jewish on the show.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I was. I enjoy the vibe of Christmas a lot. I like being a part of fake Christmas on
Alright.
TV. So yeah, it was fun. It was super fun. I was actually a blast. It was a really great experience making that.
How much time had passed since the last time you guys shot together to doing the special?
We stopped in, I believe, in March, and then we shot that in September. So what is
Okay.
that? 6 months, 7 months, something like that. Yeah, yeah. So a decent chunk of time. I mean, a lot of that time was waiting to hear if we were going to get picked up again for another season. Really a shame that we did not. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Any rumblings of more specials?
Uh, you know, I think it's possible. Yeah, I think Roku. I think Roku actually would like to do another one in some way, but there's a lot of elements and a lot of getting everyone together, and you know, a lot of different things that have to come together. But I think there is an appetite for it for sure. It did really well
Yes.
for them, so
It was the first time I ever watched anything on Roku channel.
same here, same here.
I was like, "How do I get to
No,
it?"
I guess it worked. It's to some degree. That's what that's probably what they wanted, right?
Yeah, I think it was a success. I mean, I know multiple people who went, "Okay, now what? How do I watch this thing I wanna
Yeah.
watch?"
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. And in fact, a lot of people, in fact, still are like, how did I get to, how do I get to see it? I'm like, you just literally have to go on it's like, or the website, the RokuChannel.com and watch it. It's like, couldn't be easier.
Yeah,
They really did make it easy. And we had a premiere like in a movie theater. So we got to see like that, which was really cool. Actually, it was really fun.
that's amazing.
Yeah. The Roku people are awesome. I will tell you, like, they are super nice, super supportive, creative. Like that was a great. They were awesome. They're a great experience. Treated us really well.
That's
So
very cool to hear.
shout out to them. Yeah.
Let's say that we don't get more.
Yeah.
Where would you want to see, your character end up? Where would you want to see if you were to write the ending?
That's a good question. If I were to write the ending in terms of the show as a whole, or just me,
Both.
I mean, in terms of David, I would have liked to have. I personally would have liked to have seen what happens if Emily and David were to potentially like split up for a little while and then find their way back to each other. I know.
Okay. Oof.
Find their way back to each other. I think that would have been a really interesting journey because they didn't all, they were. I do think they were great partners, and they have a beautiful baby together. But I think like he was always really struggling with like finding himself and finding his place, and I think that they could have. It would have been interesting to see that journey to some degree. But I do think they should have ended up together, and for him to find sort of contentment and be okay, with what his life is. To find happiness in some way. And in terms of the show, I think I would have really liked to have seen Zoe get to a place where she didn't need the power anymore, and the
Oh,
power found its way to somebody who did. Because she got the power. When she got the power, she got it, I think, because she was the only way she could communicate with her dad. And so, and then, a lot of things unfolded because of that. But then maybe that power should now go to someone else who needs it. So I thought that would maybe have been a nice place for it to end, to find that she's okay and she can let go of that and move on. And anyway, yeah.
I love that. Ooh, I really love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that'd be good. Anyway.
Um, I yeah, I love that show so much, and it makes me so it was so special, and the cast was so amazing,
Yeah.
and the stories were so beautiful,
Yeah.
because it did touch on things that were just so relatable to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it really was. It was a cool thing. Some really, really cool episodes, fun characters. Yeah, I'll be excited to watch. You know, it's funny. I went back and watched some of Christella a year ago, and it was revisiting. It's much better because you don't really watch it when you do it first because you're like, I just shot it. You know, you don't pay attention. So, and I was like, oh, okay, there were some really good episodes here we did, and so it'll be nice to go back and watch Zoe's and be like, oh, that was great. You know,
yeah.
it's it.
Are there any numbers? Because it's a musical. Were there any numbers that you were like, oh, I really wish I was the one singing that?
Oh, almost all of them. The truth is no, because a lot of them I wouldn't have been able to do what the people who did them did. So, um, were there any that I wish I could have done? I mean, it's hard because I just would have never been as good doing them. But you know, uh, I'm trying to think what I would. I mean, they're like New York State of Mind. I mean, it's like songs I love. You know, that would have been fun. But I think ultimately it's hard to imagine once you've seen other people do them. Like it's just like I love. You know, yeah, it would be fun to do like Mad World, but also like he's awesome. Like it's just like I can't even imagine it now. You know,
Yeah.
because he was so perfect in it at all. You know, things like that. But so no, I guess there's nothing that I wish that um, that I wish were different. So
Okay.
anyway, yeah, yeah.
Are there any songs that you were like, oh, before you found out that it wasn't coming back, being like, oh, this one, I want to do this one when it comes back, or
Oh,
this
that's
would
a.
be such a good song?
I really wanted to sing in the first season, and I didn't get to. But I really wanted to sing the Phil Collins song. Uh, I don't know what it's called actually. I probably do, but I can't remember. Take a look at me now.
Mm,
Um, Against all odds. Yeah,
yeah.
because I thought it would have been a nice song to sing to the dad who, uh, yeah. How can I just let you turn? Yeah. Um, I think, yeah. Anyway, that's a song that I would have loved. That I would have liked to have sung. I'm trying to think. It's hard. I don't have a huge knowledge. There's a lot of Elton John and Billy Joel songs I would have liked to have sung, uh, but they're hard. A lot of those songs don't. There's a very specific type of song that worked in that show, because if it has character names in it, you can't change the lyrics. So if it's like about if it's about a guy and you're singing it to a girl, then you can't use it. Basically.
Right.
So I think legally, I don't think they're allowed to change the lyrics. So, well, also not illegally. I think the idea is that if these songs are supposedly sort of downloaded into her head, then that's what she's
Yeah.
doing them as she knows them. Uh, so it was always hard to find that. I know more musical theater songs than I do, other songs. At some point I made a list, but there weren't many. Like I didn't know Drift Away, which I love, and I'm so happy they worked so hard to find that right song for that. At some point, it was going to be Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid, but everybody was like, no, no, no. Drift Away was perfect.
Mhm.
Drift Away, I knew I want to break free, but I didn't really know it, which I loved. To Make You Feel My Love was one that I had asked for actually, and
Oh,
so
wow.
um, so that was pretty cool that ended up in there. And I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know songs. I don't know what songs.
That's amazing. You have been in such amazing and wonderful shows, and you're so talented and so
Oh, that's
awesome.
so nice. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you for chatting with me today.
Oh, it was a blast. And yeah, I feel like so the last like few years, especially, I've been so lucky. I've gotten to do such cool things with really talented, smart people. And like, yeah, I feel very lucky to get to do, to get to do good stuff.
Yeah,
It's been a long, since I've been acting from a kid. It's like, it's, it's so nice to get to do. It's like, there, many years where it was like, yeah, there's nothing really going on so it's nice to get to do some great stuff now for sure.
yeah. Well, I love seeing you all over my
Thank you.
screens. Thank
Thank you
you so
so much.
much. If people want to find you on social media, tell you their favorite scenes from
Yeah.
Zoe or The Dropout, where can they find you?
On Instagram, you can find me at Andrew Leeds, and on Twitter, you can find me at Leeds Andrew, just to keep it
Ooh,
spicy.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I am Yell Teagle. I'm everywhere at Yell Teagle. That is YAELTYGIEL. You can find me here on Conversations channel. Usually on Sundays, we're talking about Law and Order SVU, but we are on hiatus now, so we have time to talk to other people. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you next time.